everybody. I'm Megan McGrogan, the Executive Director of the Greater Utica Chamber of Commerce and your host of the Leveling Up podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are really excited to continue our Leveling Up social distancing series. If you're just tuning in, this is actually our 44th episode, believe it or not. We've been doing a lot of these episodes since the pandemic started affecting the Greater Utica area, and we've been hopefully doing a good job at bringing our members' news to you so you can find out everything that's going on with all the businesses and organizations in our area, and you know how to support them. And that's the number one thing with this, is we want to make sure that we're supporting all of our local businesses to make sure they stay in business and we have a great thriving business community. So if you haven't checked out any of our previous episodes, make sure you go do that. You can find all of our episodes on greateruticachamber.org or on the Disruption Network websites, and also on any place that you listen to podcasts. So Apple, Google, Stitcher, any of those podcast platforms, and make sure you subscribe so you get all the recent episodes and you can turn it on maybe while you're cooking dinner or going for a walk, and make sure that you're in touch with our business community. All of our episodes are about 15 to 20 minutes, so a great way to have a little snippet and enjoy what's going on in our area. So we hope that you go back and check out those episodes. So today, I'm excited again to bring you the 44th episode, and we have a guest with us today, Adam Shine from Sunnking. Adam, almost appropriate that your logo, your name is Shine, Sunnking, the sun.
I've been told that
to remember.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Megan. I've been told that before. It fits perfectly. You would think that I founded the company, but I didn't. But I do like the company name, and my name does go along with it. So
it does. So Adam is the vice president at Sunnking, and Sunnking is a newer business to our area, Adam. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Sunnking, and what is Sunnking all about?
Great, thanks. So Sunnking is an electronics recycling and asset management company. So I'll break down a little bit what that means. We were founded in the year 2000. So this is our 20th year that we're celebrating. And I could tell you that it's not exactly the way we envisioned our 20th anniversary, but nonetheless, we're here. We're happy to be 20 years old. And I think we're going to try to do a reboot of our 20th anniversary in 2021, hopefully. So, but essentially we started out as a company that focused on businesses in the area of Rochester and handling any of their assets. So anything that no longer had value to them, we would take in those devices, those electronic devices. Back then it was, your PC, your laptop, any stereo equipment, perhaps, any copiers or printers. And we were trying to repurpose and resell that equipment. So to take a step back, recycling is, as you know, is thousands of years old, frankly. People have been recycling metals for thousands of years. Electronics, on the other hand, relatively new. So we were considered an early adopter by starting this in 2000. And so again, the focus was business, taking their assets. And eventually it started with the founder, a guy named Dwayne Beckett, and just him. And then he got a truck, and then he got his first employee, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And eventually Dwayne had to go back to his recycling roots because not everything that we got in could we repurpose and resell. And to talk about that a little bit, recycling, the best form of recycling is reuse. So anytime you can take something and reuse it for its original intended purpose, that is the best form of recycling, because you're saving time from mining new metals, you're saving water consumption, carbon offset, you're not having to manufacture, and so there's a tremendous savings there. Ultimately, the business grew such that we started to get stuff in that couldn't be reused. So we had to figure out, okay, now it's time to recycle. How do we do that? How do we take things apart economically? And so the business started to grow substantially. And I think in about 2008, we opened a facility in Buffalo. and we bought out a competitor in the Buffalo market. So our headquarters is Brockport, New York, just outside of Rochester.
Okay.
We opened this facility in Buffalo in 2008, bought out a competitor, really grew the marketplace in Buffalo. And then ultimately just this past year, we decided to turn our attention to Utica and try to expand further east. So a couple of things led to that. The first is that in 2010, New York State passed a law that required free and convenient recycling of electronics for consumers.
Okay.
And we sat around a conference room table, and to that point, we had only been dealing with businesses. We sat around a conference room table and we said, okay, we've kind of been expecting this. Do we want to dive in head first? Do we not want to dive in head first? What do we want to do here? So we all decided, let's go after it. So we created relationships with many municipalities, many not-for-profits, even local retail computer stores or electronic stores throughout the state of New York, where people could bring electronics in for recycling.
Okay.
When they had either a full truckload or whatever the agreed upon amount was, we would dispatch a truck, pick it up. And the way it works is that the manufacturers who manufacture these goods are responsible for paying for the recycling.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting. So it's called an EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility Law. And there are 23 laws in the country 23 states, in the country that currently have EPR laws. Actually, I think it's 22 that have EPR laws. And then one state, California, has what's called ARF, which is an advanced recovery fee. So what that means is when you go buy a new TV in California, you pay a tax, call it $10 on that TV for recycling.
Oh, wow.
They were the only state that did that. No other state followed suit. And there was a couple reasons for that. One is retailers didn't want to charge people an extra $10 because many consumers are savvy now, and instead of paying an additional $10, they'll go buy it online out of state for $10 less.
Yeah.
The other problem was that units started to creep into California that were from outside of California and then put into the recycling program sort of fraudulently.
Gotcha.
So other states said, okay, instead of doing the ARF, we're going to do the extended producer responsibility. And essentially what that means is that the Sonys and the HPs and the Dell and Apple and Samsungs of the world are responsible for making sure that those units are recycled in an environmentally sound way. So they contract with companies like ours. And in 2010, when the law was passed, we had no contracts with no manufacturers, but we decided to dive headfirst in, collect material, knowing that manufacturers would come. And sure enough, we had enough market share that manufacturers started to notice and contracted with us to handle this.
That's really cool. I'm sure a lot of people listening would not know that that's where all these things go.
Well, they wouldn't. And that's a big thing, is that there's a major lack of education, and that's supposed to be part of the law, and still something that's lacking. I mean, there's not a week that goes by when I'm not driving down the street and I see an old CRT TV at somebody's driveway to get picked up by the garbage, which they won't pick up, or in a ditch, God forbid.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman call us the other day from a company, and unfortunately, those are a negative value item, meaning they cost to recycle. So this gentleman called us and said, "Hey, I want to recycle some tube TVs," and we said, "Okay, well, there's a cost to it." And he said, "Well, I called the landfill to see if they would take them, and they said no, but they said if I broke them up with a hammer and I put the glass in a bag, that nobody would know." And that's a concern, right? It's an environmental concern. So yes, we do care about the environment. We do want to do the right thing, and we don't want people doing those types of things. So we're always looking for new ways to have more collection and free collection. However, there's certain rules to the way the law works. It's aimed at residents, not at businesses. So, but anyways, yeah. So just taking it a step further with New York State, we've now expanded. Residential volume is probably 50% of our business, but we still We still do service the business market. That's still a big portion of what we do. From the B2B stuff that we do, oftentimes there is a resale component because we're taking units that might be 2, 3, 4 years old from a company, obviously wiping data, making sure that we're destroying any information that's on the drive. We do wipe all drives, we do destroy drives. But then we can also rebuild machines, repurpose them, and resell them, and then there can even be value back to the company for us performing that work. Where on the residential side, I know my personal experience. I use a computer till it dies. Then I'll put it in my basement for 10 years.
Yep.
and I'm in the recycling business, and then I'll take it to Sunnking.
Let your kids play games on it or something, right?
That's it. Yeah. So now it's a 20-year-old computer. It's got no resale value. So anyways, our business now is comprised 50% resident, 50% B2B, and we're expanding east. We want to really grow our presence in New York State, throughout New York, and into the Albany market. And certainly Utica is largely untapped. We've got a facility there now, and we want your members to know that there is a responsible recycler, and that is an important thing. There is two standards essentially for electronics recyclers. One is R2 and the other is E-Stewards. And then there's plenty of recyclers out there that don't have either. So what I would say is, whether you work with Sunnking or not, make sure you're working with the certified recycler, because there are standards that they have to meet with regard to data privacy. So if you gave me your computer, you would want to know that the hard drive is being handled in a professional, secure way. 2, we have requirements about not exporting material to underdeveloped countries where things could be happening to those units. There have been news exposés on material ending up in China, and literally kids with lighters trying to get the precious metals out of circuit boards. So ultimately, you want to make sure you're working with a certified recycler, whether it's Sunnking, which we hope, or somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. Now, your place here is on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro, right?
It is.
Now, I guess kind of walk us through consumer and business. So if people want to take advantage of your services here, do they go to the location? Is there what service, if I was just a homeowner or a consumer, and then if I was a business, like how might I go about, finding out what you guys can do for me, or do I go to the location? What's the kind of process in both tracks of those consumer groups?
Yeah, thanks for asking, because it's a good question. And the reality is, that's like, if you go to our website, that's the first question we ask. Are you a resident, or are you right? So that's the buckets that our company is in. And we ultimately, so right now we are not handling drop-offs directly at our Utica facility. However, we do have a zip code locator on our website where you can punch your zip code in, and ultimately it'll take you to the closest drop-off facility that's associated with Sunnking.
Okay.
I can tell you, for instance, Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste is a big partner of ours. We're really happy to be close to them. We've been working with them for years, but now we have a facility close by, and we do a lot with them. So I would definitely recommend them as an option. And that's just one off the top of my head, but there are others.
Okay.
Also, we do have one-day collection events that we do in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and now looking at Utica as well, where it's a one-day event from, let's say, 9 to 1 or 8 to 12. And we're asking people to pre-register for those, so they can go to our website and find our events and pre-register. And ultimately, it's completely free. You select the time that you want to come. They're in 15-minute increments.
Oh, perfect.
And people show up and they drive through. Typically, we have one line going in, and then it splits into like 8 or 10 lines.
Wow. Okay.
They go through a line. We ask them not to even get out of their car. Don't roll your windows down, just again, due to COVID and policies and procedures. Pop your trunk. We unload your trunk. Take the stuff. You continue on your way, and you're in and out. And
Perfect.
it's amazing. We do these events. They bring in 4,000 cars.
Wow.
We've done, I think our biggest event to date is just over 350,000 pounds of electronics, which is
Wow.
approximately 18 tractor trailer loads in a 4-hour event. Yeah. So
that is huge.
It's massive. And, we've got a team of people led by a woman who's our director of community outreach, who's done a fantastic job on that. And we've created a pretty good model. So those are the residential opportunities. On the business side, certainly you call us, send an inquiry through our website. We also have a chat feature on our website where you can get a live person at any time. And typically what we do is we'll come out and meet with you if we can, if it's safe, depending on what your policies and procedures are. We might ask you what you have. We might ask for pictures. And then ultimately we'll schedule a truck and we'll come get your material, trying to make it as easy as possible for you as a business. So there are different scenarios. Sometimes we go, this stuff's all packed up, we put it on our truck, we leave. And in some cases, we could go into an office building where they point to an office and say, here's all our junk, and we'll pack it up.
Okay.
And
that's good to know.
Yeah, and take it away. So we offer like a white glove type service.
Okay.
And then sometimes we also do de-installations where you might have a server, a data room, or a server closet that you're that's obsolete that you're getting rid of. And we'll come in and we can detach everything, take it out. We can provide serialization services. So assets we took. And then, again, we can do some profit sharing on the back, depending on what type of material you have.
Yeah, I love that idea because I'm picturing big companies, they go through and they literally refresh every computer, right? Yeah. And so like you alluded to earlier, sometimes these computers are like 4 years old. They're not that old and they need to upgrade to the newest and best thing for their employees. And that's a really good opportunity to like I always say, leave it to the experts, right? Like, somebody in a big company manufacturing something doesn't need to be worrying about, refurbishing 200 computers or something like that.
That's exactly right. A lot of companies have a policy where once it's out of warranty, they don't want it anymore because they're spending too much time and money. So while it might be out of warranty, a 4-year-old computer to somebody else is perfectly fine.
That's gold.
Right? Yes.
Especially a nonprofit or,
Well, that's what I was going to say too. That's the great opportunity is a nonprofit where they don't want to spend $1,000 on a laptop. They can get a 3 or 4-year-old laptop for $250, $300. I mean,
that's huge.
Win. So, so as I said, we'll go in, we could take those assets out. We will prep them. We will wipe the hard drive. We will re-image them with the new fresh window of Windows, and then we'll resell it through one of our channels. We have a retail store. And by the way, in our Utica facility, at some point in the future, we expect to have a retail storefront there too, where we sell used electronics.
Oh, cool. Nice. So we'll have to look out for that.
Exactly.
Now you mentioned the drive. Are you guys doing anything like that coming up in our area?
We are, yeah. So we do this recycling program called Escrap for Camp every year. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm on the advisory board for Camp Good Days and Special Times. They ultimately help kids that have cancer. And how do they help them? They help them by year-round activities, including a summer camp where they just get the kids out of their, day-to-day medical procedures and chemo and radiation and all these terrible, terrible things that you would never wish on anybody, let alone a child.
Sure.
They get them out of these situations and get them with friends and peers that are going through similar things. And they do fun activities. They'll bring some of the Buffalo Bills in sometimes. They'll bring the Steelers in, and they do, pumpkin carving and They'll do snow tubing in the winter, and just all sorts of activities. And I was introduced to the executive director in 2009, and I'd been thinking for a while, like, how can we give back to the community? And so we started this program called Escrap for Camp, and essentially the way it works is we sign businesses up, and right now it's Buffalo and Rochester, though we're going to do a modified version of it in Utica this year, which I'll talk about in a moment. But we sign these companies up. We provide boxes for people, their employees, to bring material in from home. They put the material in the boxes. They participate for a full week.
Oh, cool.
We pick the material up, and then we will give Camp Good Days 3 cents per pound.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Everything other than a CRT. That's the only thing, because again, that's a negative value item.
Okay.
In 10 years of doing this, we've raised over $100,000.
Wow.
Good Days. So it's
that's awesome.
Not an insignificant amount of money, and they've come to expect it and and need it.
Especially now, everybody needs, any little help they can get.
Right now, it's brutal. I just spoke to the executive director yesterday, and they're really trying hard to come up with not only safe programming for the kids, but also funding, because it's really hard to ask people to open their wallets right now. And a lot of people are struggling or not making the same income that they've made in the past. So, but what we're going to do in Utica this year is, instead of signing businesses up, because it's late in the year, it's a very big logistical program for us to figure out. We usually rent additional trucks. We find additional drivers. It's a major undertaking. But since we have a facility there now, our intent is to set up boxes at our facility where people can come in anytime and drop off.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we will count all that material towards the program, and we will then issue a check at the end to Camp Good Days.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And then next year, that's kind of going to be the precursor to next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything opens back up and is safe. Then we'll do the more traditional program where we'll sign local businesses up, and we'll deliver stuff direct to you at no cost to you. We'll pick it up at no cost to you, and we'll donate based on the pounds that we receive.
Okay. Now, do you have dates for that in Utica yet?
I don't, though. It looks like it's going to be in early December, maybe late November. We are currently going through the program in Buffalo, and so to not overload our organization and our resources, we like to split it up. So Rochester, typically, we do the program in February. Buffalo, it's typically May, June timeframe, and then Utica would be probably September, October in a typical year.
Yeah.
This year, everything's kind of been thrown off, but we will be providing more information soon in the coming weeks, and we'll be sure to get that to the chamber, of course, so that you can make your members aware, and we'll blast it and put it on our website also.
Perfect. And who doesn't want to just, everybody has electronics sitting around their house, so you can clear out your house for the holidays, donate it to a good cause. And, I think for everybody watching or listening, more importantly, you don't have to worry about how you're going to recycle it. You can just bring it down to your location, and then you guys will really turn it into a great donation yourselves to help out kids in need. So
and I will just add to that quick that, during the pandemic and so many people being at home, so many people have spent time cleaning out their houses and wanting to get rid of old materials. So it's amazing how many people have been clamoring for events and opportunities to recycle their electronics. So this is a perfect one, because not only are you getting rid of stuff that you don't care about anymore, but you're putting a smile on a face of a child that's been afflicted with cancer. So
definitely
win-win.
Well, Adam, we'll definitely look out for information on the drive, but as far as Sunnking in general, where can people go to get in touch with you guys? I know you mentioned your website. Do you want to give that to everybody who's listening or watching, and any other way that you prefer them to contact you?
Sure, I would love to. Our website is sunnking.com. It's SUNNKING. It's all one word, sunnking.com. And again, when you go there, it'll say, are you a business? Are you a resident? We're also very active on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook page and you put a message in there, we'll always respond to that. Certainly any other Instagram, Twitter, and certainly you can always call us too. Our Rochester-based number is 585-637-8365. And from there, you can be connected to our Utica office or our Buffalo office, or talk directly to somebody in Rochester.
Okay, great. Well, this was very educational. I know I personally learned a lot, and hopefully all of our viewers and listeners learned a lot. And we welcome you to the Utica area and hope to see you guys do really well. And like we said, we will be sure to share all the information about any future drives you guys do. And you guys heard it from Adam. Make sure you go to their website, check out the services that they have to offer, and go through and think about your electronics and don't throw them in the garbage. Right?
Yeah, don't do that.
That's a big no-no.
It is.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so nice to meet you over a digital platform, and we hope to see you guys in person at some point, and maybe we'll have to do a ribbon cutting for your new facility once we're able to do that.
We would love to. I appreciate your time, Megan. Thanks for having us on.
Great. Have a good day.
You too.